Welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories. Today is going to be another autism, and while I'm waiting for those other bits and pieces that I'm doing for my book journey right now, as well as all these other plans that I briefly shared in my video earlier. So if you want to see to this, give me a heads up by thumbing it up or just commenting below. So this one's all about the autism and law basically, and I humbly apologise in advance to the ones that may be thinking, oh, there goes Aspie again going on about autism or Autistics, Asperger's syndrome and the like. Whatever it may be, just let me know and I'll hopefully branch it out a bit further, as I said, because there is a lot of broad topics I want to share through the autistic world versus everything else. So this one, as I said, is all about autistic and law, so let's begin this. I have been regularly encountering some news about autism and the law, or hearing things on the grapevine as well through others that has been experiencing problems with the authorities and whatnot, be it if it's an autistic person that has committed a crime or has been a victim of crime, or even dealings with the police because they wanted, for example. Sometimes with the autism aspect of is incidental, sometimes it's absolutely essential to understand the story behind of why a person that is autistic behaves that way, and as a result, hopefully we can branch out to some other leeway for them. Oftentimes people struggle to tell the difference between whether it is incidental or essential. I am aware that, however, and believe strongly about the legal procedures will differ from across the world, regardless of what I have found and whatnot in my writing. So writing a story about this may or may not be coincidental and will usually require a fair amount of extra research that I usually don't have the time to do, even though now and again I do now. I also know that what is reported in the papers is a fraction of what they say, because they really like to sweep it under the carpet, and sometimes only a distortion of what really did happen. So drawing conclusion from those reports without having to read the original case notes, which I believe strongly I don't have access to because it's not my right and jurisdiction or not my position to do so, can be dangerous and arguably a pointless kind of sport. Yet what I can say is this, based on my experience and knowledge from what I went through when I was with the authorities, that there are some parts that needs to be changed, and I strongly believe right now, despite how the police are trained, that they really do need to do some extra training for handling with people that are different, or for those who are autistic, especially in this case. I'm not going to reason with you to why, but I feel that it's needed and that it should be then realised that in the norms and the reality of it all, that autistics need to feel safe and be able to express themselves to a point, though, in the bigger community. No, autistics aren't harmful, as I said, of the reasonings to the behaviours for the autistics. Until anyone who's not autistic be able to walk in our shoes and see our world differently, however, and treats us still like humans and not animals, we may be able to work on the solution together, hopefully. I've realised though that there are still certain important aspects of certain stories that I have been commenting on, or I've been looking up and reading on my own for my findings and research, and to clarify, partly for those who don't have that legal background but wants to understand why our case went the way it did. So I'm going to do some more of this from now on and in the future, hopefully. So in this video is an introduction to the multitude of ways in which autism and the law will interact. A precursor to those future posts may be about specific stories that may have arisen or arose from time to time. I will hope to share more later about some parts of my findings here in New Zealand, as I shared in some of my videos of some of the topics, that there are only few research based on these everyday topics that needs to be addressed. And I am hoping with saying that we can come to an agreement and understand that we do need to make a change in some areas. I may share my views on some of the articles as separate videos later on, and if you would like to hear them, please comment below or smash that like button. I would also like to take the time to open up this for discussion, as well as any comments for the ones that has been in trouble with the law. How did you cope with the law, and what do you want people to know about when you were in trouble with the law? As I've already stated, law and autism interact in a number of ways. In an effort to understand the different issues at play during those interactions, however, I have split them into three categories, with further subcategories of against the autistic person and by the autistic person. This is just a preliminary categorization, just to give you guys a brief overview and overall helpful approach to better understand what I'm saying with you all. So number one of it is interacting with police. In any interaction with police, even at the most innocent level of inquiries and investigations. As you may say, autism can have a significant impact to people that has it due to problems with communication, their behaviours and social interaction with their peers. Answering even a simple and seemingly straightforward inquiry from the police will sometimes be a very real challenge for an autistic person and may have very real consequences. Other than those interactions with police by autistic people, there is also the subcategory of interaction with the police about autistic people, such as if an autistic child has wandered or a neighbour has complained about the child abuse that they think is going on at home because of the temper tantrums and the behaviour that is associated with autism. In these situations, people might find themselves trying to explain to the police that it's not just what the child has been wondering, the child is also perhaps non-verbal and has very limited appreciation of dangers around them or no boundaries towards danger. Or parents may try to explain to the police that the child who appears injured has suffered from self-injury, that they tried to but could not stop, rather than injuries caused by parent directly. Next one, illegal acts. For acts performed by autistic people, the autism may go to the question of mens rea, essentially the intent. The things we might use to infer intent for a non-autistic person may not hold the same relevance for an autistic person. Autism also does, however, impact on the quality and meaning of the evidence against them. Shady and suspect behaviour, as it may seem to some people, how we act, such as running from the scene of a crime or not meeting your eyes when we're communicated on, can mean something very different coming from an autistic person than from a neurotypical. This is again generally relevant to interactions with the police also. For acts performed against an autistic person, however, the autism may be relevant too. For example, did the autistic person supply meaningful consent to an otherwise injurious act? The existence of autism also comes up to excuse or mitigate behaviours that would otherwise be considered criminal against them, such as physical restraint, electric shocks from tasers, and other potential harmful and demeaning behaviours. Punishment. Last but not least, judges usually have a significant amount of leeway in the types and amount of punishment for various offences, regardless of what crime has been committed. If an autistic person has been found guilty or responsible for an act against the law, the punishment they receive should take into account with their autism. But bear in mind, I'm not trying to say that they should get away with the crime. Sometimes it's just a matter of handling with caution and a free way of using the right needs of punishment. Maybe the need for special mental health services rather than incarceration or just being put into prison cells with the white walls. If they were placed in prison, as I'm sharing, it could be an incredibly devastating, life-threatening experience for them, far above and beyond the normal prisoners' experiences. Again, there are separate categories of the punishment for acts performed against an autistic person. They are particularly vulnerable people, so hurting or taking advantage of them might attract more harsh penalties. Also, the acts in the law which might otherwise have been considered extreme and deserving of equally extreme punishment might be somewhat ameliorated in the eyes of the judge due to the challenges involved with the care of these people. I should perhaps clarify that I don't have the mind in the recent case of the woman strangling her autistic son. I mean more so behaviours done specifically to keep the child safe from causing harm to themselves or others around them, such as these of the restraint as thing. In conclusion to saying this though, it's important not to underestimate the impact of autism that has on legal issues that arises, both for when an autistic person is the perpetrator and when they are tempted to be the victim. Autism should be and often is taken into account, but autism isn't generally treated as an excuse for criminal behaviours. Understanding the finer details may be challenging, but an important challenge, and one I will attempt to meet more often in this videos that I may share or may even to blog again if the time and energy will allow me. So this quickly ends a short brief overview of autism and law. Give me a like for thumbs up for support. Comment below, as I said before, if you felt the need to actually share with your stories about the law, how you dealt with it and whatnot, what you want people to know as an awareness and understanding about it all. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Feel free, if you haven't done so and you would like to join me on my journey, basically to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to share, turn on these notification bells on, And enough of the day, guys. Thanks for the support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.